Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braj Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braj Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Gaurangi Bengurishwara Gaurangi Bengurishwara Gaurangi Jaya Nittai Chaitanya Jaya Nittai Chaitanya Nittai Chaitanya Jaya Nittai Chaitanya Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Sadashri Srimad Abhay Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Sadashri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिगोवर्धन की जय व्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय द्वारका धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय गौरभक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class of ISKCON Seshadripuram's Srivasanga chapter. Today we will be, I've been asked to take up fourth canto, 22nd chapter and the second half. Give me a second, let me open the... So this chapter has around 63 verses and since I am supposed to do the second half of it, maybe we can start from 32, 33, something like that, and try to cover the full chapter as much as possible. So fourth canto, 22nd chapter. This is entitled Prithu Maharaja's meeting with the four Kumaras. So I will go to around 30. Okay, so we will start from text 22. I will share the screen. So we are doing a summary study, so I will try to keep with the flow of the main thought process within these verses. So we will read 4th canto, 22nd chapter, verse number 32, the Sanskrit and the English. Subsequently, I will only read the translation for all the shlokas and we will discuss. Nataha parataro loke pumsaha swarta vyatikramaha yad adya anyasya preyastvam atmanaha swa vyatikramat. Word by word meaning, not ataha, after this, parataraha, greater, loke, in this world, pumsaha, of the living entities, swa artha, interest, vyatikramaha, objection, yat adi, beyond that, anyasya, of others, prayatestvam, to be more interesting, atmanaha, for the self, swa, own, vyatikramat, by obstruction. Translation: there is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matter to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. So this is the meaning. I will explain the purport and going forward the other verses also. So this section, this particular verse is being spoken by I think Sanat Kumara, one of the four Kumaras, and he is addressing Maharaja Prithu, who himself is a Satyaveshya avatar. I remember I am taking a class of his appearance few weeks back. And this entire narration is coming to us from the discussion of Maitreya Muni with Vidura. So the instruction of Maitreya Muni to Vidura, and as he is telling, the story will shift, and sometimes you will see that it's Sanat Kumara talking to Maharaja Prithu. In between you will see Maitreya said like this, like that. So please understand it at that way. Maitreya Muni is actually instructing Vidura in this, Vidura Mahatma, in that about these pastimes which happened earlier, and the scene shift to that pastime itself, and then the discussion will be, Prithu Maharaj said like this, Sanat Kumara said like that, so that will keep coming. So that is the context, and here in this verse the discussion is about in the earlier verse, so this context is actually in relation to the earlier verse, so I will read only the translation there. When one deviates from his original consciousness, he loses the capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. When remembrance is lost, all knowledge acquired is based on the false foundation. When this occurs, learned scholars consider the soul is lost. So this, when the original consciousness, when someone deviates from his original consciousness, that is the important point, he loses the capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. That is the statement made, and in that context our today's verse is there, which is saying there is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matter to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. What does this mean? How is this connect to the previous verse? So he is saying, first, when our original consciousness is deviated, and therefore first we should understand what is our original constitution, and from that perspective this particular verse comes into play. So the original constitution for any living entity is that he is a spirit soul, and he is eternally associated with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means a spirit with the super spirit, right? The Atma and the Paramatma. So they have a eternal original relationship, and there, when it is deviated, when the original consciousness is deviated as mentioned, which means when one forgets that constitution, that I and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the Paramatma, the Jiva and the soul and the super soul, and the Jiva and the Paramatma, then that is deviated. That means we actually come into this consciousness of material existence. So that is what was discussed. And what happens is forgetfulness comes, we have discussed. So when you are not doing, we always say, right, you always have to, whatever you are, if you are a doctor, you need to keep practicing medicine. If you are not practicing medicine and you are into, let's say, something else, you go into movie making or something like that, what happens? In the course of time, that knowledge of the medicine is lost. That you no more qualified to be a doctor, because that knowledge what you have acquired has not been practiced, and as a result you have lost it. So like this, if we have lost our consciousness that we are part and parcel of the Lord, and we are eternally connected and as a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because in our material consciousness we have been living in this material world, Bahunam Janmanam. That means life after life after life after life, we have been thinking this bodily consciousness, we have been chasing our material desires. As a result, we have deviated from our original conscience. That is what has been mentioned. Now in this verse, therefore, saying there is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matter to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. Therefore, now having come into this concept of material existence, it is mentioned that original consciousness is the main subject, and this the material consciousness is actually the subject matter, which is the biggest obstruction to the original consciousness thinking. There is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest, because self-interest is what is my original role, what is that which benefits me the most in my original state, right? Like if I am trying to act like something which I am not, that is not going to be of any help to me. No. If I am doing what I am supposed to be doing, then there I am within the range of my abilities. But if I am trying to act like something else, that is a duplicity, and I will never be happy. So therefore, to be self-interest means, here in this context, to be in the original constitutional consciousness, original constitutional position. But if I am not in that direction, but I am thinking more towards I am material, I am body, and I am my objective or my goal is to satisfy the sense gratification. If we are in that mode, then it is mentioned this is the strongest obstruction to one's self-interest. So this is very nicely explained by Srila Prabhupada in this verse. By the influence of Maya, one becomes more interested in sense gratification, which is prohibited in this world for those interested in self-realization. So instead of becoming interested in sense gratification, one should divert his activities to satisfy the senses of the Supreme Lord, because this is the cause of our fall down, trying to satisfy our senses. But if we are to satisfy the senses of the Supreme Lord, which is by nature our role, then we are completely satisfied. Then all that is fine, Prabhu, nice to hear. But in reality, it's difficult, we are not able to get it. That is how all of us feel, right? It's all nice to say and this is fine, but I also understand theoretically, but practically that doesn't appeal to my mind. This is how we are thinking. This is if as grown-ups we understand, right? Like if the children are there, the children, they somehow get to keep playing something, like they get addicted to the cell phones and they keep playing video games or so many things which are really not helping them progress in their life, in their overall life. So as parents, we keep telling them, hey, this is not good, why are you all the time wasting your time like this? Why don't you do something constructive? Why don't you study something? Or if you're, whatever, your self-interest, whatever is there, why don't you focus on that? The child never gets it. He will always be blaming, hey, my parents are like this all the time. They keep on troubling me. They are not allowing me to play games. They are not allowing me. So this, as grown-ups, we understand. This is not in the self-interest of the child, but he is being deviated from his principles of what he needs to be doing. Yes, there is attraction in so many different things. There are multi-million things that we can get interested in. Right? Sometimes we say, oh, I like to do something and then I don't get that opportunity. That doesn't mean we therefore, we try to end our life, right? But many people do that these days because they have become so much lack of common sense. So they say this is the only thing, and then but then there are millions of other things. Okay, and practically if you see all of us, I try to do something, there is no cooperation in home or there is no proper opportunity, then I shift my interest to something else, and many times I get hooked up to that. So it's just that, wherever I am indulging, I will get hooked up to that. This is, if you really think about it, sometimes we crib, right? Oh, this difficulty, that problem is bad, this problem is bad in my house, I don't have these facilities and all that. But you just think about it, there are people who are much more, in difficult circumstances than us. But do you think they are not happy? Think about it. There is there are people in rainy seasons, I see many people don't even have a proper roof over them. But if you see, they are also laughing, they are also smiling, they are also chasing whatever they want to chase. If you think, what is this horrible life? Why are you all living? You may think like that. But they have their interest in their life, but they adjust to whatever it is, right? So, if you extend that to a living entity, not simply human beings, there are so many living entities who have adjusted to live in the, like the cockroaches. They live in these gutters. Cockroaches are also happily living there, right? They are living happily, they are marrying, they are having nice children, in their own way, they think. I remember how Indra, when he became a pig, for a short period, he was so satisfied with being a pig, eating all those wonderful things, having a nice pig wife, having nice pig children. He was satisfied, he was so happy. When Narada Muni went and said, hey Baba, you are Indra, why are you stuck here? I have been a pig, it's very pathetic, please come. He says, no, I can't come. He says, your punishment period is over, why don't you come back? Narada Muni. But Indra saying, no, I can't leave my beautiful wife. I can't leave my wonderful children. This wonderful food I am getting to eat. So we adjust. Therefore, the point is, if we are getting addicted to our material life, it is because we have adjusted so much to it. That is the scriptures give us this practical things to understand. Therefore, all we need to do is try to keep away, try to take up devotional service, whether we like it or not. Over a small period of time, we will start enjoying it because we adjust to that. But this adjustment will ultimately be what is your natural thing, because we have Bahunam Janmanam. We have been used to doing something else for so long, we have adjusted to that. So it's about relearning. They say, no, it's about reprogramming our brain. I've deviated. This is what has happened. Now let me bring, and to bring it back, it takes some bit of a time. But the nature of this devotional service is so nice that quickly we will be able to change that. And there are some do's and don'ts. That is why we say, if you are a drunkard and you have been rehabilitated, not you, maybe someone else, who's been a drunkard and who has been rehabilitated, then what they say is, okay, now you are back on track, but ensure that you don't again mix with people who are drinkers. They give that. And they say, if you again get caught into this web, it is very difficult to pull you out. So they have to avoid the association of further drunkards, because there they'll say, "Arey, chalo, let's one peg, nothing will happen, come have it." They will encourage us, and once again we will get into that practice of doing it again. Then we'll get lost into that. So the people who are into drug abuse, the people who are into this addicted to wine and whatever, alcohol, they get into this trouble. And the process is like that. You give medicine, whatever, you counsel them, whatever, they come out of that. But the knack is they should not again associate with people who are into that same activity. Otherwise, we'll go back into that. That's why we say the don'ts are okay, you try to keep away, try to associate with people who are in devotional service and all that. But once you do that for a period of time, but unfortunately what happens is, for us, we are more caught here and there, our devotional services sometimes, then we get more into the material life. So this flip-flop, it takes more time. But again, according to each person's abilities, we understand this theoretically first, and then we have to see how to apply that. And depending on our strength, we will happen. But one thing is for sure, to the extent we take Krishna consciousness, the extent Krishna is going to be looking at us. So he says, I reach out to the extent you reach out to me. And when he reaches out, it's a different thing. When he reaches out, we get pulled up some distance. That we over a period of time, we will realize. So the more knowledge we have, then the more self-control, self-restraint we have, then the better it is for us to grow. So now let's look at the other verses one by one. Because we can go on for 1 hour on this verse, but I am constrained to go to the next verses. So the next verse, it is mentioned, for human society constantly thinking of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interest. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he entered into species of life like those of trees and stones. So this is an extension of what I was speaking. One is theoretical knowledge. So what we have understood is jnana. Okay, this I understand, constitutional position, my role, I have deviated from that consciousness, I am in material consciousness. Therefore, and I have been there for so long, and therefore I am sort of conditioned to think I need to change. This is jnana, fine, very good. Then he says vijnana. What is vijnana? Vijnana is practical application of that knowledge. Just like in laboratory, whatever we learn in class is theory, then we go to the lab, we do those experiments, it becomes vijnana or experimental knowledge. That means when you experiment, you are able to understand, realize what you have understood theoretically. So this vijnana is actually very important. That means the sadhana or actually doing devotional service. If we are not able to do that, then whatever we are used to doing according to that practice, according to that consciousness, we will get the next body. This is the problem. Therefore, the people who are having this kind of consciousness, they tend to keep going, traveling between this 84 million species of bodies, whatever is my desire, which is not my original consciousness but deviated consciousness. From that, in that deviated consciousness, whatever desires, whatever experiences I am seeking to get, I will get a body for that. And there are also people who want to say, no, I don't want to have any activity. Then they are Mayavadis or Sunyavadis. These kind of thinking, either Mayavad kind of thinking or where our desires are deviated. Here it is mentioned, they sort of get into those kind of consciousness which is like non-moving things like the trees or the mountains, like that. And there the person is stuck for a long time, not able to move further in the original consciousness. So that has been discussed by Srila Prabhupada, and is particularly focusing on the Mayavad concept of zero, making all activities zero. Non-moving living entities including hills, mountains, trees, plants, etc. This stage of life is called Punyatama and Muktyatam, namely making all activities zero. Philosophers who support stopping all activities are called Shunyavadi. By nature's own law, our activities are to be gradually diverted to devotional service. You see that word, gradually diverted, because you are conditioned so much, overnight you cannot change. But this knowledge will help us to steady our boat, and slowly, gradually you engage more and more. And by that process, we are fully spiritualized. But if someone is not having that mode, not knowing how to spiritualize our activity, but simply stop all activity. Oh, this activity is what is making us getting caught up in karma. Let us not do any activity. That kind of thinking is not the correct one. But see how you can dovetail everything. How we can do all activities but do it completely as a service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the knack. Because we all have our nature, right? I may be, so many years I am trained to singing, and I always want to sing and that gratification. I sing so very well, you see how beautiful I am singing. Okay, I just can't overnight say, no, I am not the body, I cannot, the singing is actually pulling me down to this lower classes of life. Maybe I will become a cuckoo, a singing bird or something. No, that's fine, you got that ability, wonderful, great. Why don't you sing for Krishna? Nothing, activity continues, singing continues. But change the consciousness that I am singing for my gratification, but I am singing for Krishna. Then the same activity is purified. This purification is what is expected, not to change or stop the activity. Continue the activity. Of course, abominable activity should not be done. So if I am a butcher, then that activity is there, so I will continue my activity. That should be avoided. That kind of thing. But there are many other, that's why I said, right, there are so many other activities which are doable, and if we only try to shift our interest, then we will also start liking it. We adjust to that activity. So there are thousands of interests we have, and I'm sure we will find some interest which is favorable to Krishna consciousness. It is not that, oh, I am only a butcher, how can I know? You just look at yourself internally. We will find something else which is also accepted by the scriptures to be an approved activity. That activity we can increase and not do this other activity. That way, dovetail everything in Krishna's service. So that is the next verse. The next verse we will go to 34. Those who strongly desire to cross the ocean of niceness must not associate with the modes of ignorance. For hedonistic activities are the greatest obstruction to realization of religious principles, economic development, regulated sense gratification, and last and at last liberation. So the point is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So generally Vedic studies tell us to do these four things. Religious principles, dharma, economic development, artha, regulated sense gratification, dharma, artha, kama. This regulated sense gratification is kama, that means enjoyment. But of course it is regulated. And at last, liberation, moksha. So these four things are given in the scriptures because, as I said, you can't overnight change. But keep principles important because human form of life means regulated. Animals means there is no regulation. So when you become a human being, then we are supposed to have some restrictions, some regulation and all that. So the morals, like if you are not very spiritual, okay, at least let me be morally right. That's why I say don't steal. Well, that has got nothing to do with religious principles. I mean, that's a higher order, but basic thing is, don't steal. Say thank you when you receive something. These are all simple morals. Don't take something from others without permission. That it is lying, my pen is lying there, someone comes and takes that pen and goes. In banks, when you go, it happens, right? You keep your pen, you're writing, someone takes the pen. These kind of things. That is not morally right. So the humans means it is like that. Animals means they will take and run away. If you really see, you see how the crows, all these other things, when they are there, there's a big fight. There's something lying. Why don't we orderly take it? No, everybody in chaos. They will pull, and then animals, you will see, when they get food, it is fit for all. Whoever is stronger will get. Others will have to be on the sidelines. You can't. So this is not, principles is not there in their life. But in human being, minimum is the principles, religious principles. From the morals, it develops further into those principles given in the Vedas, how we should do something, how to do do's and don'ts. And through that, economic development happens because we are in body, we need to maintain body. For maintaining body, artha is required. So artha is there, fine. And through artha, the body is taken care, which means gratify the body. Okay, I want to eat nice halwa. Okay, make halwa. Because I have got now artha, I have got money to buy halwa, make halwa. Okay, make halwa and eat. But then can I keep on eating halwa? No, I have to be regulated. So there has to be things. And then as human beings, that regulation says, why don't you offer and eat it? Religious principles is theoretically understand I am not the I am soul, I am attached to the super soul, and I have to serve the super soul. But I also have a body. Okay, you find some artha so that you can sustain the body. Then what do? You make some gratification. But always remember, I am still the servant of the Lord. Therefore, what do? I also like to eat halwa. What do? Okay, you take that, offer it to the Lord and eat it. In the course of time, we will come to a state where I just make this only for, does the Lord like the halwa, not that I like the halwa. That Lord likes halwa, okay, we will make it. And after he honored it, I will take it. It's not like I am hankering for halwa. That will come. As I said, as we keep on practicing, the love for Lord will increase, and whatever he likes, how to serve him, that is my only interest, not that I want to serve myself. That will come. That is the last stage, is that liberation, this understanding coming, that and liberation from material bondage. I understand I am Atma and I have nothing to do with this material consciousness. And then what is my original state? That original consciousness we read in the 31st verse. Original consciousness is that I am part and parcel of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we are coming to this point of liberation. That is being discussed in this verse. The next one. Out of the four principles, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification and liberation, these four are there we discussed. Liberation has to be taken very seriously. The other three are subject to destruction by the stringent law of nature, death. So now, more clarity. That is, as I said, that is the beginning. But as we keep going, the first three, dharma, artha, kama, these three are basically something which will keep repeating. Because as I keep changing the bodies, my these things are temporary. Like my artha, I cannot carry my bank balance after I am dead. My intention was artha, that means economic development. I did all these things. At the end of it, I used it also for my kama, but I cannot carry this once this body is gone. I need to again start this activity whenever in whatever body I am in. And whatever religious principles according to the body, whatever I applied will also go away. And the gratification also changes. Because if I am so much, let's say, addicted to eating some particular thing, and next body I get a different type of a body, I cannot do that. I may not be able to eat this what I ate in the previous body. So this everything has a limitation. These are material. Dharma, artha, kama. That's being stated here. Then what is more permanent or eternal is this liberation. So naturally self-interest means it is about the core of what you are, not about the relative of what I am. Relatively I am also body. Relative, if you say, yes, I am also having a body, but that is relative truth. But the real truth is, I am always alive, I am transcendental, I am that energy which is called, defined as soul, which is apart from the body. Body is there as a vehicle in which I am traveling. To some extent, I relate to that body because I need to maintain this body, otherwise the soul cannot travel in that sense. But beyond that, the real me is different. In that circumstances, the focus should be more on this fourth thing rather than the first three. That is how the nicely Bhagavatam is bringing us to this stage. Or the Sanat Kumar is explaining to Prithu Maharaj. Therefore, you need to be mindful of this. You are a king. These three things may be there, but focus on the fourth one. That is what they are trailing here. Next one. We accept as blessings different states of higher life, distinguishing them from lower states of life. But we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of the modes of material nature. Actually, these states of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by the Supreme Controller. What are we talking about here? Sir, all this is nice. I do some nice dharma. I get elevated. I get to a higher state of life. Is that not good? You see, I have been a thief. I have been doing nonsense activities. I have been stealing, depriving people of their property, whatever. I come to some realization. I go through some transformation. And next life, or even in this life, I come out of the prison. I study for IPS and I become a police officer. Either in this life or next life. Fine. Oh, is that not good? Now have I not transformed? What is the problem? Why you are always saying this, Krishna consciousness, Krishna consciousness? Everybody, there are people who say, no, I am doing nice work. I don't cheat anybody. I help others. Is that not good? Is that not devotional? Is that not, a dharmic life? Why are you all obsessed with this, so-called Krishna consciousness and all that? So that is being discussed here. See, when we want to lower levels to higher states of life, that's been mentioned, we accept as blessings different states of higher life. Yes, it is a blessing that I could transform from a thief to a police officer. Great. Distinguishing them from the lower state of life. But we should know that such distinction exists only in relation to the interchange of the modes of material nature. Because I will become a police officer, fine, next life. And that is also subject to change one day, Like the example given is, I do a lot of punya. After that punya, so you keep, so when you are a thief, don't mind me when I am saying when you are, let's say when I am a thief, my consciousness was ignorance, but from there I, do some reformation and then I become a police officer later. So that is, maybe I am coming into Rajasic mode, that means I am controlling. as a police officer, I control so many things. So it says no, the modes of material nature is changing, but I am still in the same chakkar, because these three modes of material nature, goodness, rajo and tamo, are part of material nature. Therefore, I keep revolving down. Higher and lower modes is fine. One who is ignorant is actually in the lowest mode. One who is in rajo is in a higher mode. He is more conscious, but undesirable because he is too much caught up in this thing. But one who is in sattva is even more advanced, that he is able to balance very nicely. He is not getting attached too much like that. But at the end of the day, all three are material consciousness. Therefore, the idea is to come above that. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, rise above the three modes of material nature, O Arjuna. He is saying, come above that, come to Shuddha Sattva. So, because these three will anyway get destroyed with the body. That is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. I am Kala, I am time, I am death. Therefore, even if I make a lot of money, that will also be lost one day. Or if I am making a lot of punya and I am enjoying life, that will also come to an end with the loss of my body. So these three things are relative. They are relative truth, but focus on the moksha part of it. That's been discussed here. Let me go to the next verse. Next verse is, Sanat Kumara advised the king, therefore, my dear King Prithu, try to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is living within everyone's heart along with the individual soul. In each and every body, either moving or non-moving, the individual souls are fully covered by the gross material body and subtle body made of the life, air and intelligence. So now you can see that Sanat Kumara, actually that discussion is coming here from Maitreya Muni. Whatever he is saying, this scene is shifted to Sanat Kumara's actual discussion with King Prithu. So he is saying, therefore, my dear King Prithu, try to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That moksha, what is that? Moksha is trying to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not just understanding, coming to that perfection of that, who is living within everyone's heart along with the individual soul. In each and every body, either moving or not moving. The individual souls are fully covered by the gross material body and subtle body made of the life, air and intelligence. So now the constitution is given. You are not the body, you are the soul, and along with you that supreme super soul is also sitting as Paramatma in your heart. But that individual soul is covered by gross material body made of the 5 elements, Pancha Indriya, and the subtle body of mind, intelligence and false ego. That entire philosophy is been, again he is trying to tell the Lord, and Prabhupada in this verse is actually trying to make us aware that don't get into this Mayavad concept here, and he is using the word Tat Tvamasi. Tat Tvamasi means you are the same, that is the meaning, and Mayavadis use this, that you are the same means what? You are the same as me. Tat Tvam Asi, you are the same as me. I am the same. So hum, I am the same. The impersonalist concept of this mantras is that the Supreme Lord or the Absolute Truth and the living entity are one. So this is their understanding. So they go in this direction when you say come to the point of liberation. No. Devotees, this paragraph clearly says you are individual, the Lord is existing separately, and you are covered by the thing. Not that Lord is also covered by that, the 5 airs or all these things. That is not how it is stated. The individual is covered, not the Lord. So that concept of Mayavad has to be removed from our head if at all we have something like that. How we understand that you are the same is, yes, I am the same as in I am also spirit, the Lord is also spirit. There ends the commonality. After that, that Anu and Vibhu concept comes into play. You are minute, but he is unlimited. There is definitely excess. The nature is the same. Like water drop and sea, both are same nature. But you can't say that therefore the drop is equivalent to the ocean. No? That defies logic. So the same thing here. I am Anu, same in quality, but he is Vibhu. That is important. Go to the next verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself as one with the cause and effect within this body, but one who transcended the illusory energy by deliberate consideration, which clears the misconception of a snake for a rope, can understand that the Paramatma is eternally transcendental to the material creation and situated in pure internal energy. That thus the Lord is transcendental to all material contaminations. Unto him only must one surrender. Again, continuation of the fact that the Lord and me are separate, and while he is also here in this material world like I am here, I should not misinterpret that one who comes into this material world is automatically covered by the three modes of material nature, and that Lord who has come along with me is also covered by the three modes of material nature. That concept should not be there. That the Lord is not touching this world, that he is also contaminated by this. He's saying, right, Prabhupada is saying, this verse is specifically stated to defy the Mayavadi conclusion of oneness without differentiation between the individual soul and the super soul. The Mayavada conclusion is that the living entity and the super soul are one. There is no difference. The Mayavadis proclaim that there is no separate existence outside the impersonal Brahman, and that the feeling of separation is Maya, or an illusion by which one considers a rope to be a snake. So this is, see, I and the super soul are same, there is no difference. Then why am I separate here? That is what is called, they call Maya. Maya means that I am never separated from the Lord, I am one with him. But the thought that I am here separately is actually Maya. That means I don't exist really. This is all false because I am one with the Lord. And that this example given is that, when you see a rope, you think it is snake. There is no snake there, it is only rope. Like this, when we see ourselves, I should get the feeling that I am Brahmasmi. Means, in this, we also say Aham Brahmasmi, but ours is I am spirit. But their thinking is I am God. But this body is illusion. It does not exist. This is only illusion. It does not exist. But we say, no. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit. But I am Anu, he is Vibhu. And I am here, which is truth. It is not Maya. But this one is truth, but I am trying to make something which is impermanent as permanent. That is why I am in Maya. I am thinking this body is living in this body which is going to be temporary, but I am thinking permanently I am going to be happy, enjoying. That is Maya. So this body is temporary, but I am original, truth, or I am eternal. But not understanding I am eternal, but thinking I am body is Maya. That which is not. I am not the body. I am actually the soul. But thinking I am the body is called Maya, is the Vaishnava philosophy. So we'll go to the next one. The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desire for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. See, this is very practically, he is still telling us how you can do that. That means I am so much addicted to material existence. But how will I get out of this? Here, this is the thing. He is saying that people use different methods, no? That means the yogis, the jnanis, the other, the karmis, they come through karma yoga. Karma yoga means is actually devotional service, but these karmis, by doing simply focused on activities, not attaching to the activity, but attaching to Krishna they leave out. Simply not doing the activity with attachment, not practically possible, right? You do for what? No, nothing. I do for nothing. Not like that. Either I do for myself or I do for someone else. Simply saying I am doing for nothing, it doesn't have it doesn't have logic, right? So you do for you, gratification, perfect. I have a reason why I am doing, or I am doing for someone else. I know I love my wife, I love my children. I am doing this for my wife and children. Great, there is something. But if you say I am just doing this because, I am not doing for anything, I am just simply doing. Many people say, oh, I am doing. What are you? Then why would you? What is the motivation to do? There is no motivation. Then why will you do? There is no logic. But the idea here is, actual thing is you do for the Supreme Lord. That means everything is connected, everything is devotional service. So, but if you are doing for sense gratification, it leads us into this karmic thing. That is called fruitive activities. I do this because I want to get this material benefit. That is fruitive activities. And this becomes a hard knot. Like, it tightens and tightens and tightens and tightens. Then they call it, like we say, even this relationship, the ties that we have with wife and all, Hridaya Ganti. It is a hard knot which is very difficult to break. That is because I am more thinking from a bodily perspective. But how you can actually be, having nice relationship with everything and all around us, not just family, everything around us, but also at the same time be completely aloof from that, is when we are able to do this dovetailing of everything for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these Jnanis, Yogis and Karmis, they cannot get this because they are not understanding where it has to be dovetailed. No. The devotees know, they clearly know that all this to be dovetailed to that person called Shyam Sundar, Krishna. And therefore there is no problem for me, the son of Vasudeva. When they do this, then that hard knot, like the example I gave, that singing, yes, you want to sing, okay, nice, sing. But now the purpose becomes for Krishna, not for myself, my sense, intelligence, whatever, my mind, intelligence, false ego, or for my money, that I want to become a great singer, great money, lakhs and lakhs of rupees, famous all over the world. No. But the singing continues, I sing for Krishna. You may still become famous, but I don't care. No. That fame is dedicated to my Guru. My Guru has given me this knowledge because of which I am able to do like this. So that fame goes to my Guru. I have nothing to do. But you are still there. People all listen to you. You see, so many people. Ayendra Prabhu. When he sings, every singer in ISKCON or world over, they look at Ayendra Prabhu. Oh, how beautiful, what a personality, what singing. People, all Kirtaniyas that is their foundation. He is famous, but he is dedicated it to Prabhupada. It is not mine, it is them. But he is still famous, nobody can deny that. Loknath Maharaj sings, Agnidev Prabhu, amazing singing. Since we are talking about singing, I am taking these names. But they are world famous. So you still get that, but they have dovetailed that for Krishna's service. Therefore, he says, although trying to stop the waves, because you cannot stop your desire for gratification, you can etch it in gold. If you are to say, Krishna says, if you remember, these waves keep on coming. In Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, Krishna, these are coming like waves, I cannot stop it. Krishna says, yes, I fully accept and empathize with you. But he says it, but when you dovetail it in my service, it can be purified, regulated. Therefore, we cannot, because this body's propensity to have that gratification, stopping this thing is not possible, literally impossible. Then, therefore, should I completely not do anything? That also is not practical, not possible. The soul is always restless. Therefore, do, but don't attach. Do, but attach that to Krishna. That is a very practical way of it. Although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. As you engage this propensity to gratify, they get purified. Because you are touching with gold, pure gold. And therefore, that purification happens. How when you put, Prabhupada, he always gives this example. No? You put a metal in fire, you keep it there for some time, the metal also becomes fire. No, you take that metal, you can burn something with that metal. Earlier you could not burn anything with that metal, but now with that same metal you can burn. But you keep it out for some time, again it becomes metal. So how to purify the consciousness and remain in that consciousness? Krishnaized, Prabhupada used the word. How I can Krishnaize my consciousness? Then we are perfect. We are always in that sweet spot, sweet zone. Next. A little slow, but there are so many verses to cover. Very beautiful ones. The ocean of nations is very difficult to cross because it is infested with many dangerous sharks. Although those who are non-devotees undergo severe austerities and penances to cross that ocean, we recommend that you simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. Although the ocean is difficult to cross, by taking shelter of his lotus feet, you will overcome all dangers. So, this material existence, samsara sagara, is an ocean. How to cross it? Take the boat of devotional service. And in that boat, with the captain as our spiritual master, you simply cross over. We don't know how to cross, but the captain is there, right? The captain, Srila Prabhupada, the supreme captain, and we have our own spiritual masters who are our captains. Fine, we are back. The boat will go. There will be some fluctuations, there will be some turbulences in between. That's okay, because I trust my captain and I follow the instructions given my captain. I will cross over, no worry. This is Krishna's, guarantee. Right? We don't have to worry about that. You take the lotus feet of Krishna, you will go. This is Sanat Kumara telling us. Just do this, no problem, you will get there. Not by our own, although, he says, although those who are non-devotees undergo severe austerities and penances to cross that ocean, it is not practically possible. That's why he is saying we recommend that you simply take shelter. Krishna says how that so much of samsara sagara will become like a calf's footprint. Is it difficult to cross that ocean? Real ocean is difficult, but if that ocean shrinks and becomes like a calf's footprint, you can easily cross over. There's specific verse in Bhagavatam. Krishna is saying that. Mat parha, you engage in my service, this crossing of the ocean, I will handle for you. You don't have to do anything. Next. The great sage Maitreya continued. So this is originally being narrated by Maitreya Muni. So that is coming. Being thus entitled in complete spiritual knowledge by the son of Brahma, one of the Kumaras, who was complete in spiritual knowledge, the king worshipped them in the following words. So after hearing, we get instruction from our spiritual master. We are ever grateful. He is enlightened after hearing all this conversation. We keep hearing millions of times, but our consciousness is so polluted. It takes time to come out of this thing. But then he, after hearing this, whatever number of verses that he spoke, he is enlightened. And he is going to speak some wonderful words. To thank for what they have given. The king said, who? Our Prithu Maharaj is saying, O Brahmana, O powerful one, formerly Lord Vishnu showed me his causeless mercy, indicating that you would come to my house, and to confirm that blessing you have all come. So earlier you saw that he was performing this Ashwamedha Yajna, 99 he performed, then Indra disturbed, then I think Narada Muni and others, they came and said, it's okay, you don't have to get to this 100 and compete with Indra, stop it. And he stopped. But the Lord came and then he blessed him, saying that, Sanat Kumaras will come and they will enlighten you on this path of self-realization. So he is remembering those words. and says, the Lord is very merciful. He had come and told me that you will come, and you have certainly come. There is next verse, I think. There is actually Prabhupada very subtly talking about, you see, it's very interesting. I want to read that for all of you. I'm just seeing which verse it is so that I don't miss it out. I think it is here only. Let me. Actually, this what I am trying to say in this, maybe it is in this verse where we just now read, that Prabhupada is actually saying his purpose in life and how he is actually a very close devotee of the Lord. I mean, very subtly he is saying that. This is the verse. Again, I will read this verse, so very interesting. The king said, O Brahmana, O powerful one, formerly Lord Vishnu showed me his causeless mercy, indicating that you would come to my house, and to confirm that blessing you have all come. Here I will read Prabhupada's purport. When Lord Vishnu appeared in the great arena of sacrifice at the time when King Prithu was performing a great sacrifice, Ashwamedha, he predicted that the Kumaras would very soon come and advise the king. Therefore, Prithu Maharaja remembered the causeless mercy of the Lord and thus welcomed the arrival of the Kumaras, who were fulfilling the Lord's prediction. Now, he is coming to this. The Lord's prediction has been fulfilled by these Kumaras who have come. Great. Now, look at the next one. In other words, when the Lord makes a prediction, he fulfills that prediction through some of his devotees. You see, where is coming? So he fulfills it through some of his devotees. In this case, the Kumaras. Then he shifts. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted that both his glories, names and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra would be broadcast in all the towns and villages of the world. Right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted, my name will be spread all over the cities and villages all over the world. Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakura and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada decided to fulfill this great prediction. And in one small 3-4 words, he is indicating that he is the person. And we are following in their footsteps. We means it's not me. I mean, I can't include myself there. It is Srila Prabhupada. So he is saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he predicted this will happen. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati also decided the same thing. And we came and following in their footsteps. We are following. That means that Prabhupada actually went and executed that. Here he is saying, the Lord predicted and his devotee did it. And here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Lord and he predicted that, and empowered by his gurus, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and his grandfather guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, we were able to do this. So, and he is again talking regarding his devotees. Lord Krishna told Arjuna, Kaunteya pratijanati na me bhakta pranashyati. Taking it further. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. The point is that the Lord himself could declare such things, but it was his desire to make the declaration through Arjuna and thus doubly assure that his promise would never be broken. The Lord himself promises and his confidential devotees execute the promise. You can now relate very subtly. Prabhupada is showing who he is. That I am a confidential devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I am coming and executing. The Lord could have done. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could have spread the whole matter. But he left it to his confidential devotee to do it. Humbly he is saying, but he's not, I mean, I am not a big scholar to interpret this. But very obviously I am able to see that. Of course, he is not saying I did it. But as Prabhupada's followers, we should be able to see this thing that Prabhupada is actually a confidential devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted is coming true. And that confidential devotee is executing. That example there also applies to Prabhupada. The Lord himself promises and his confidential devotees execute the promise. The Lord makes so many promises for the benefit of suffering humanity. Although the Lord is very compassionate upon suffering humanity, human beings are generally not very anxious to serve him. The relationship is something like that between the father and the son. The father is always anxious for the welfare of the son, even though the son forgets or neglects the father. So he is now telling why that is important to take that. Okay, so let's go to the next verse. My dear Brahmana, you have carried out the order thoroughly because you are also as compassionate as the Lord. It is my duty, therefore, to offer you something, but all I possess are but remnants of food taken by great saintly persons. What shall I give? Hey, yaar, you are the king, and you are saying all I am left with is I possess is only the remnants of food taken by great saintly persons. How to understand this? Prithu Maharaj is the king, and he is telling his guru, I have nothing to give you. I only have some remnants of food. What is this? So here it is meant he himself came from the body of his dead father. And the Brahmanas, the Brahmanas of that kingdom, they brought him out of like that along with Archi, and they made him the king. So he is saying this entire thing what I have got is only a bhiksha. It is not that I earned myself like that. So this is remnants of food taken from the great saintly persons. The Brahmanas gave that to me. So I don't possess anything. That's what he is trying to tell us here. So what I can give with I don't possess. True statement. Then he is saying, the king continued, therefore my dear Brahmanas, my life, wife, children, home, furniture and household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land and especially my treasury are all offered unto you. He is saying, I am completely giving everything to me. But this particular word he is using, I am giving my wife, my children, home. How come that you can't be just giving away your wife to someone else? This is not culture, right? So Prabhupada talks about this. So this dharaha, that word used in that word is dharaha. Here if you see, prana dharaha suta brahmana. Suta, prana, my life, dharaha, wife, suta, children, brahman. So he says grahascha sa parichada. So rajyam, balam, I am giving everything. There dharaha is a word, that means including my wife I am giving. So he says nowhere it is in scriptures you can't say someone giving away his wife to someone else. This is not right. So that dharaha should be understood as rayaha. So that's a more technical. Raya means the most wealth. So Prabhupada is giving the example of Ramananda Raya. So it's like a title. Someone who's very wealthy, that Raya is added. So he gives many more examples of Raya names like this. So he is saying all this wealth, everything I am giving, not that my wife I am giving. That word is saying that, but it should be understood as Raya. That's how Prabhupada is saying, not Dhara. Then he is saying treasury. So earlier you already said everything belongs to that Brahmanas, they gave it to me, how can I take, how do I take ownership? But then he is saying I will give my treasury to you. Then how you own it? You don't own anything. You are contradicting yourself. So that explanation Prabhupada is saying, that treasury is not that government treasury, it's the private treasury. So as a king, many people give many gifts when people see them, when they give them some, as a token of appreciation, respect they give. So those are all like, even today we can see when the Prime Minister goes to some country, they give him some gift. So that one is kept separately and sometimes auctioned and the money is made like that. So he is talking about that as a separate treasury, which is other than the land and all that given by the kings, by the Brahmanas. So that also is yours only, like that he is saying. The next one. Since only a person who is completely educated according to the principles of the Vedic knowledge deserve to be commander-in-chief, ruler of the state, the first to chastise or the proprietor of the whole planet, Prithu Maharaja offered everything to the Kumaras. So the king is supposed to set an example to the Prajas, Yadyad Acharti Sreshta. That means whatever the great men do, the common men follow. And the great men are supposed to set the perfect example. So since only a person who is completely educated according to the principles of Vedic knowledge deserve to be commander-in-chief, so the king should not be any Tom, Dick and Harry. He should be one who is completely learned in the scriptures, and he should be the commander-in-chief or the ruler of the state. And he should be able to manage the entire kingdom in that direction. And he should be a perfect example, and in that mood he offered everything to the Kumaras. That has been mentioned elaborately, but that's the core of what is discussed there. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property and give charity with their own property. Brahmanas are supposed to be, what is that? Beggars. Brahmanas don't own anything. But this verse is saying the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmana who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property and give charity with their own property. How is this possible? So here it is clearly mentioned the Brahmanas own everything, not the Kshatriyas or the Vaishyas. Shudras, of course, they are dependent on these two other classes. But here it is mentioned, that's why Prabhupada is writing that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is worshipped with the words Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanya Hitaya. He didn't write that Go Brahmanya, I am saying. So Namo Brahmanya Devaya, it is mentioned, Prabhupada is writing. So Krishna is one who actually gives so much importance to these Brahmanas. So it should be understood, the Supreme Lord is worshipped by everyone, yet he teaches others, to teach others he worshipped the Brahmanas. So Krishna worshipped the Brahmanas to make people understand these Brahmanas are so high, they are considered equal to me. And everything is owned by Krishna, and therefore as the Brahmanas are the representative of Krishna, and therefore everything is owned by them. In that sense, it is owned by the Krishna and indirectly by the Brahmanas, and the Kshatriyas and all are administrating that which is belonging to Krishna, or we can say the Brahmanas. In that sense, the Brahmanas take directions from the Kshatriyas take direction from the Brahmanas and rule. They don't rule on their own. So they are taking the instruction from the Brahmanas, who is basically saying what Krishna is saying or not different from Krishna. So the Brahmanas effectively own everything, Kshatriyas do as per their action, Vaishyas. So that means that point is that it is the Brahmana who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property and give charity with their own. The kings are not supposed to, as per the thing, the Kshatriya is not supposed to give charity. Brahmana give charity. So the Kshatriyas are doing on behalf of the Brahmana. This is the point that is being made. And Brahmanas own everything as a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they eat by the mercy of the Brahmanas is also mentioned, which means the Brahmanas' mercy means it is prasad. Brahmana does not eat anything which is not offered to the Lord. And the Kshatriyas also therefore has to follow that process. So the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, everybody has to take only Krishna prasad. That is being established here, and Prabhupada writes about this in this verse. Next. Prithu Maharaja continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed among human society out of their unlimited mercy. What is this is? He is saying how I can repay for the knowledge that you have given me. I have nothing to give. I am not qualified to give that which can actually compensate for what you have given me. So he is saying what is best thing that for you is whatever great service you are doing, the satisfaction that you have reformed me is the biggest satisfaction you can get. So for us, to our spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada, what I can give Prabhupada, what I can give my spiritual master, Sola Jayaprakash Maharaj, nothing. Materially, there is nothing I can give. But if I am able to reform myself and serve him, that is the biggest gift that is mentioned. Folded palms containing water for their satisfaction. So just like, sometimes children buy some sweet and give it to the father. Right? The money is coming from the children only. So there is nothing that the child has independently got from their father that he can give him. You can't give anything which is outside what is already available with the Guru. So by being a nice child, the Guru is happy. So here the Sanat Kumara should become happy seeing Prithu Maharaj's transformation. That is mentioned here. We say no, I am eternally indebted to my spiritual master for what he has given me. I can never say, okay, I have paid my debt to Jayapataka Maharaj. That's it. I have paid my debt to Srila Prabhupada. Now I am a free man. No. I am ever indebted. How can I repay what they have given us? This is important. The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus worshipped by Maharaja Prithu, the 4 Kumaras who were masters of devotional service became very pleased. Indeed, they appeared in the sky and praised the character of the king, and everyone observed them. So I will not go into detail. We will go to the next one. Amongst great personalities, Maharaja Prithu was the chief by virtue of his fixed position in relation to spiritual enlightenment. He remained satisfied as one who has achieved all success in spiritual understanding. After this instruction, Prithu Maharaja applied this knowledge, Vijnana, and how his life was after that is the next 10 shlokas. We will quickly go through them. Being self-satisfied, Maharaja Prithu executed his duties as perfectly as possible according to the time and the situation, strength and financial position. His only aim is all his activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way he duly acted. So he was a king. He has to perform activities, and a lot of activities at that, not simply like an ordinary human being. He is a king of the planet. So many activities he did, but everything he did very consciously as a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next. Maharaja Prithu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. That means he surpassed out of the control of the material nature, the 3 gunas, transcendented, went above the 3 modes and was in Shuddha Sattva stage. Consequently, all the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord, and he always thought of himself as the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything. This is the perfect position one can be when we are dealing with anything, material world or even in spiritual world, that we are simply, doing for the pleasure of Krishna and I have got nothing to do with it. Maharaja Prithu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained at home as the householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of his senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances. So he did not renounce everything and go to the forest or took sannyasa or anything like that. He was a householder, but he was unattached. All the activities he was doing, but he was not attached. The example given is the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances. If you see, in nature, if you see there are so many animals, so many humans also, evacuating in public places, it's all stinking, everything. But the sun actually even purifies that. By the sun's heat and this one, they dry up and they, the smell, everything goes away. But the sun is not contaminated by this ugly and bad things, right? It's like that. He is doing so many things, but he is not affected by that because he is not attaching to those activities. Next. Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Prithu Maharaja not only performed all fruitive activities, but also begot 5 sons by his wife Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. So he also indulged in relationship with his wife. He says, Prithu Maharaja not only performed all fruitive activities, You have to understand these things with a little more clarity. It's not like sometimes, oh, therefore he was enjoying his life. No, but so he talks about his Garbhadana Samskara. So there it is an act of relationship, but it is Krishna conscious activity. So like if you are having these children out of lust, then what comes out, the children is also lusty. Or not lusty means it is not, they are not in the pure consciousness. But one who's, that's why he says, according to his own desire was to get wonderful devoted children, and when he is doing this Garbhadan Samskara, and that is a spiritual activity, he got 5 sons who are all perfect devotees. So that has been discussed in this particular verse. Next. After begetting 5 sons named Viditasva, Dhumra Kesha, Haryaksha, Dravina and Vrika, Prithu Maharaja continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all the other planets. So there it is said, all the planets, there is always a predominating deity. Like when you say sun, that planet is there, but Vivaswan is the thing. Like that moon planet is there. Then there is the preceding deity Chandra, who is actually the demigod. Like this. So Prabhupada says all planets, there are only mainly 2 dynasties, the Surya Vamsa and Chandra Vamsa. We all know, right, how Rama came from Surya Vamsa and Krishna came through this Chandra Vamsa. So it's basically all these are the 2 predominating Vamshas. All planets are ruled by them, and here Prithu Maharaj is also equivalent in that thing, that he is considered in that highly elevated position. Since Maharaja Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaja used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, work and gentle behavior. Here Prabhupada writes, so he says, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. See, these things we have to understand. It's not like, we are fanatical about thing. It says, people have come to this material world because of their gratificatory mode. No, the king has to make arrangements that people can gratify their senses. Prabhupada writes that, if you go and read that properly. Now, can you say, oh, therefore he is, this is not the purpose of this thing. You have to be you have to be completely renounce everything and become, the king should make everybody renounce their life. Yes, that is also true. But this is not like with the danda, right? I will now beat every one of you and you should now become sannyasis. No. Because by nature I am come here for this purpose, then that needs also to be satisfied. That's why you already saw, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So you as a king, you have to facilitate all this process, but you should always keep in mind the ultimate goal, liberation. So how do you manage your population so that they are driving towards that? So there is also given some benefits like this sense gratification, but always with the reminder that Baba, don't get too much into this one. Now you need to move forward. Here are other activities for you. Here is Kirtan. Here is this one. Here is Rath Yatra festival. Come and enjoy here rather than only dancing on the road for some nonsense. So you create that favorable atmosphere for people to transform. See, he's writing, although this material world is condemned when it is compared with the spiritual world, there is still some purpose behind it. Modern scientists and philosophers cannot understand that purpose, nor do they believe in the existence of a creator. They try to establish everything by their so-called scientific research, but they do not center anything around the supreme creator. A devotee, however, can understand the purpose of creation, which is to give facilities to the individual living entities who want to lord it over material nature. The ruler of this planet should therefore know that all the inhabitants, especially human beings, have come to this material world for sense enjoyment. It is therefore the duty of the ruler to satisfy them in their sense enjoyment as well as to elevate them to Krishna consciousness, so that they all can ultimately return home back to Godhead. So this is to be understood holistically, not simply therefore create enjoyment, vikas is the only thing, no, but also elevate them in Krishna consciousness. But you should also understand people have this need, I need to also satisfy, so vikas should also be given. So this is a balance that we need to have, that kings have that understanding, complete understanding, so that they know how to balance. Otherwise we are in a mess, we are either direction and we lose everything. With this idea in mind, the king or government head should rule the world. In this way everyone will be satisfied. So Prithu Maharaj was a perfect example. He is saying, so everybody should take a leaf out of his book, how to govern this country or this world. 56. Maharaja Prithu became as celebrated as Soma Raja, the king of the moon. He was also powerful and exacting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light and at the same time extracts all the planetary waters. See, here he is extracting, so he is extracting taxes, Prithu Maharaj. He is hard, he is taking money from the prajas, but at the same time he satisfies them. And he is also giving heat and light. So where he needs to extract, he is very strong. But where he needs to give, he gives. So people are satisfied. Yes, I am paying tax, but I am getting all these nice things. So I have no grudge against the king. I am happy. So he has the perfect balance. Maharaja Prithu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his order any more than one could conquer fire itself. How you cannot conquer fire like that? Maharaja Prithu could not be conquered. He is so powerful. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is insuperable. On the other hand, Maharaja Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. So look at the balance. He was firm, but he was also tolerant. And he was also making people, drive towards their ultimate objectives of self-realization, but he was also fulfilling their desires in human society. So perfection, he is perfecting. Then, just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desire, Maharaja Prithu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea in that no one could understand his depth. And he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose. So he was more giving, but he was also very clear. The ultimate purpose of life is this, and everyone should be encouraged and should be helped to get to that point, and he helped, and people got there. 59. Maharaja Prithu's intelligence and education was exactly like that of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. He possessed great riches like Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varuna. So you see what all qualities. He was like Yamaraja, because Yamaraja is the chief justice of the universal world, universal creation. He had that level of ability of justice. Like this Kuvera, the treasurer of this entire universe, but he had that quality. The wealth like that of Himalayan mountains. So greatness of Prithu Maharaj describes here nicely, comparing him to those other personalities. In this bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaja Prithu was as strong as the wind, which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like the all-powerful Rudra expansion of Lord Shiva or Sadashiva. He is so tolerant, but he is also intolerant. And he was so powerful like the wind, he can go anywhere. So these are all the greatness, how he balanced everything to perfection, because ultimately it satisfied. If you are so intolerant, then people will not be satisfied. But that is not the case. His intolerance is also accepted, means how he is also showed tolerance, that people are able to see that balance and they appreciate his intolerance also. In his bodily beauty, he was just like Cupid, and in his thoughtfulness, he was like a lion. In his affection, he was just like Swayambhuva Manu, and in his ability to control, he was Lord Brahma. He was like Lord Brahma. Next. In his personal behavior, Prithu Maharaja exhibited all good qualities, and in spiritual knowledge, he was exactly like Brahaspati. In self-control, he was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. As far as his devotional service was concerned, he was a great follower of devotees who are attached to cow protection and the rendering of all services to the spiritual master and the Brahmanas. He was perfect in his shyness and in his gentle behavior, and when he engaged in some philanthropic activity, he worked as if he were working for his own personal self. I mean, this all can go on for one full seminar we can do in these kind of things and see how these things can be related to our personal lives also. Throughout the whole universe, in the higher, lower and middle planetary systems, Prithu Maharaja's reputation was loudly declared, and all ladies and saintly persons heard his glories, which were as sweet as the glories of Lord Ramachandra. I don't know why ladies and saintly persons, it's there. But generally Prabhupada writes there, in this verse, the words Strinam and Ramaha are significant. Ramaha are significant. It is the practice amongst ladies to hear and enjoy the praises of certain heroes. Right? So Prabhupada, this is subtle. That women, the body, not the, because everybody is soul ultimately. They like, these kind of glorify, great heroes, their activities, they really like. That is the subtleness of a woman. So that is there. And here, therefore, it is mentioned, he acted in such greatness that all women talked about him. Oh, Prithu Maharaj, so great, like that. From this verse, it appears that Prithu Maharaj's reputation was so great that ladies all over the universe would hear of it with great pleasure. At the same time, at the same time, his glories were heard all over the universe by the devotees, and they were as pleasing as Lord Ramachandra's glories. So compared to Lord Ramachandra's glories everywhere, the same thing like that Prithu Maharaj's glories. So with this we come to the end. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th canto, 22nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Prithu Maharaja's meeting with the 4 Kumaras. Hare Krishna. I stop here. If there are any questions, any comments, welcome.